My husband almost killed our baby and my toddler saved him. Original post, March 11th, 2024. We have a 25 female OP and a 30 male husband. I've been with my husband since 2018. We have a 3-year-old girl and a newborn boy, but tonight things almost took a turn for the worse. My husband has always had trouble paying attention, but I never thought it would come to this. Our neighborhood is weirdly laid out with cars zooming by at crazy speeds at all hours of the day. I was folding clothes when I heard our toddler screaming, "Dad, help." That tone made me drop everything and sprint outside. What I saw made my blood run cold. Our newborn in his stroller careening towards the busy street. I screamed and ran to him, barely stopping the stroller in time. My baby girl's hands and knees were scratched up because she tripped trying to run after the stroller. I snatched up my baby, heart pounding, and scanned for my husband. He wasn't watching. He was chatting with neighbors, completely oblivious. The anger I felt was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I stormed up to him, shouting in disbelief. He looked shocked at first, then realized what almost happened. The apologies and tears came pouring out, but it was too late. I couldn't wrap my head around how he could be so careless, so blind to our toddler's screams and the stroller rolling away. I packed up the kids and left, staying with my parents. They're on my side, but my husband keeps texting, begging forgiveness, calling it an honest mistake. But I can't shake the terror of almost losing my baby because he couldn't focus for a single second. My baby girl got hurt in the process because he couldn't pay attention. I almost lost my son because he couldn't pay attention. I can't stop crying. I feel so guilty. I wish this all never happened. Sorry it's short. I just want to hold my babies and I can't stop shaking every time I think about it. What if I was just 1 second late? Would I have been planning a funeral? And the reason I left the house instead of him was because I hate that house. I don't feel like it's safe for the kids with all the traffic, and I was right. It's my husband's work house. I can't be running either. I had a C-section less than 6 weeks ago. A lot of people are saying, why wasn't I watching the kids? I was doing their laundry like a parent. He takes them for walks to have bonding time with them. He literally created this by himself. This has never happened before. How was I supposed to know? And people saying, why didn't I get him checked out? I'm not his mother. He is 30 years old. I'm sick of people acting like I have to parent my own husband while I literally have a newborn and a toddler. And I'm still healing from a C-section that I teared my stitches from when I ran to get my baby. I don't care if he has ADHD. The court wouldn't care either. If he killed my child, he would have went to prison either way. What a bunch of losers to be in the comments like, oh, this is your fault. I want to be sympathetic to the fact that maybe there's something wrong with this husband. Maybe homeboy does have ADHD, or maybe he's hard of hearing. Either way, you figure that the out before you have kids and before you potentially put them in danger. There's no excuse for like, oh, I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'm talking to people, and therefore I can't at least have 30 to 40% attention on where the my kids are, especially a stroller. Relevant comments and additional info. Okay, he's 100% wrong and I'd be livid just like you. However, I'm a little confused with the situation. Like, why was your baby just in a stroller unattended? Why did the stroller randomly go into the road? Since it sounds like you were at home, is this maybe something y'all normally do just to have a place for baby to sit out front of your yard when your toddler is playing outside? And maybe it was a freak accident. I'm going to be honest, as a mom, most of us have stories of near-death experiences with our kids. We can be naive and stupid and expect a little child to have more awareness / survival skills than they do. When my son was 2, we had a horrible experience with an escalator, and I still have times where I can't sleep because of it. We are all idiots when it comes to parenting, because how can you know until you live it? And seriously, like, every parent has one of these moments, unless you're one of those insanely lucky ones. I still really don't understand the whole scenario of what happened, but to me it seems like he really has remorse and feels terrible. And once you go through something like that, you never forget it. So if he cares and loves your kids, he's devastated and has learned a hard lesson. I don't know that your response was the best, but I get why you did it in the moment. But I think you guys need to have a serious talk and maybe look into moving if possible. I wouldn't go straight to divorce like Reddit loves to preach. I think there's a solution here. So sorry you're dealing with this. It's literally the worst feeling in the world. OP responds, when I was outside, he was standing on the neighbor's driveway. I assume that he must have had left the baby literally on the road because there was no possible way that it would have rolled off like that. And my toddler was playing with the neighbor's cat before she noticed her brother was rolling away. When I confronted him about it, he tried to explain, but he just kept stuttering. I still don't know what exactly happened. I don't know if he didn't put the brakes on the stroller. If the wind blew him away, I just don't know. My neighbor contacted me and had asked if I wanted the security footage because his wife is 100% on my side, so I'll probably find out once it gets sent to me. So homeboy left the stroller with his baby on the sidewalk? Who does that, bro? Like, take the baby with you. That's weird. Someone commented, I want to acknowledge that this is a horrific situation, but saying I don't care if it was his ADHD isn't going to fix anything and will probably only make things worse. Talking and thinking about it like he intentionally tried to kill your child isn't either. With ADHD, you actually do not register things like this at all sometimes. Life expectancy for those of us with ADHD is actually significantly lower because many of us end up, often accidentally, killing ourselves. It is not the same thing as carelessness, but learning about ADHD a little deeper can help you guys be safer. Understanding how my ADHD works and using different than standard precautions like my brain needs has actually most likely saved my life. This might be extremely controversial for me to say. I think leaning into ADHD, it's making my life worse, actually makes your life worse. I know for a fact I have ADHD, but I'm not like, oh man, I have ADHD, can't focus, quirky, like it's so hard for me to pay attention. I actively work to be like, okay, I have a hard time focusing. How do I work to be better at focusing? What things can I do? Because there are things you can do to get better at focusing. I think this is such like a mentality. Maybe not. Is the wrong way to put it, but for you to be like, oh, wee woo, I have ADHD, I almost let my actual child die, like that just sounds like an excuse. If you have some sort of reason that you can't take care of a child, don't have a child. But once you have that kid, I don't care if you have ADHD. I think you need to figure out, what do I need to do so that there is no situation where my child's life is in danger. I'm not trying to shit on anybody with ADHD. Personally, bro, on the tier of like mental illnesses that can hinder you the most, ADHD is like bottom floor. I think everybody has ADHD. Like, I don't want to pay attention to that's boring. Nobody does. You can pay pretty good attention when you're scrolling on TikTok for 3 hours. It's because it's a habit. It's a habit and it's fun. That's why your ADHD doesn't kick in and tell you, oh, maybe you shouldn't scroll on TikTok for 3 hours. Lay out what you want from him. That's probably that he gets his ADHD better under control, whether that be through prescription medication or more homeopathic method, that you get a different place if possible, that he not take your kids out in your front yard without you, etc. Also, neither he or the neighbor noticed, but you heard your kid from the inside. Something seems off here. Were your neighbors just watching the stroller roll towards the street? Was your husband on the other side of your house where he couldn't see the stroller? Were you already walking outside as this unfolded? I'm trying to understand better what was going on here and why your husband or the neighbor didn't notice, but you did from inside. People with ADHD tend to be incredibly good and quick to act in emergency situations, so this is especially weird. I'm absolutely not accusing you of leaving anything out or anything, but asking you to think about what your husband and neighbor were doing that neither noticed. That smells fishy. Updated 11 hours later. The neighbor's wife sent me the footage and I really can't wrap my head around it. So my husband was walking with the stroller and my toddler was in front of them when they passed the neighbor's house. My neighbor was outside washing his car and my toddler saw his pet cat, stopped to go pet it. So my husband stopped, left my baby on the road. He didn't even bother locking the wheels and walked all the way up the driveway, not even bothering to look back at the baby. He had his back facing the baby for about 5 minutes before the stroller just suddenly started moving. I think it's because the road is on a hill kinda, or it could have been the wind. My toddler never went near the stroller. It couldn't have been her. The stroller went down the road and my toddler. That's when she started screaming and running for it. The neighbor started running after my daughter when she tripped. He tried to pick her up. That's when the neighbor's wife's car comes into frame and she stops and starts running back to the way the stroller is coming. After that, you can't really see anything because it's all out of frame, but you can hear all the commotion. My husband just stood there the whole time, hand on his head with a blank stare on his face. He didn't even do anything when our toddler was crying from hurting herself. He only started crying when I confronted him. What do? I genuinely don't know. I'm panicking. This was never the life I wanted for my kids. I don't understand why he was just standing there. I have not even gotten a text or call from him since I got sent the video. It's just been silent. I just can't get the sound of my daughter's screams. That's the sound that no mother wants to hear. I can't explain the moment, but it feels like my blood went cold and I just felt pure fear. I never want to watch the footage again. Now that we know the full situation, ADHD is no excuse. You just have to have general common sense to think, maybe I should take this child with me. I know this is the Reddit thing to do. I'm leaning towards divorce. Show the husband the video and be like, hey man, what the were you doing? If there's not a good reason as to why he not only did that, and then when it happened, just stood there blank faced, I would go get a divorce and try to figure out if this evidence is good enough to claim full custody of your kids. I would not trust this husband with the kids. Like, he has actively shown that not only will he put your kids in danger, but when danger happens, he's not able to actively do anything productive to save that kid.